Imagine living in a house where one door never opens until the clock strikes 3 a.m. What would you do if whispers in the dark called your name? Would you resist, or would you look inside? Tonight, we uncover the terrifying story of Ethan, a man who discovered a hidden door in his new home and learned that some doors are not meant to be opened. Stay with me till the end, because once you hear what waits beyond that door, you'll never look at 3 a.m. the same way again. The house with the hidden door. The night was heavy with silence. Only the faint rustle of trees filled the air. Ethan had just moved into the old countryside house. It was a place sold cheaply, almost suspiciously cheap. The villagers had warned him about it. They whispered stories he didn't believe, tales of things that moved in the dark. But Ethan wasn't the type to fear rumors. He wanted peace away from the city. The house gave him that, at least during the day. On his first night, he explored every corner. Dust and shadows greeted him. The wooden floor creaked with every step. He found a door he hadn't noticed before. It was narrow, hidden behind a crooked wardrobe. The wood looked darker than the rest of the house. The brass handle was cold to the touch. He tried opening it, but it wouldn't move, no matter how much he pushed or pulled. It was as if the door refused him. Strange, he thought. He shrugged and moved away. Later that night, he set his alarm clock. As he drifted to sleep, he thought about the door. His dreams were restless. They carried whispers he couldn't understand. He woke with a start. The alarm clock glowed. 3 a.m. A chill ran down his spine. Somewhere in the house, wood creaked. Ethan sat up, listening. The silence pressed against his ears. Then he heard it, a soft click. His heart skipped. He knew exactly what it was. The hidden door had opened. Slowly, unbearably slowly, it creaked. The sound traveled through the empty hallway. He grabbed a flashlight, trembling. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. He walked to the wardrobe. The cold air thickened around him. His breath misted in the beam of light. The wardrobe loomed before him. Behind it, the narrow door now stood ajar. A black gap yawned in the frame. The darkness looked alive. Ethan reached out. His hand hesitated midair. He swallowed and pushed it open wider. The hinges cried like something in pain. A foul odor drifted from the darkness. Ethan gagged but kept his flashlight steady. He expected to see a closet or storage room, but the beam revealed a staircase. The steps spiraled downward into blackness. The air grew colder. His skin prickled as though unseen eyes watched him. He whispered to himself, "It's just a basement." Yet the words sounded hollow. The house groaned above him. He took the first step. The wood bent under his weight. Dust fell from the ceiling. He took another step, then another. The flashlight flickered. He cursed and tapped it. The beam steadied, but weaker now. The deeper he went, the stronger the odor. It smelled like wet earth mixed with rot. He reached the bottom. His light fell on stone walls. Symbols were etched into them. Strange carvings, circles within circles. His chest tightened. The carvings pulsed faintly like breathing. He stepped closer, mesmerized. Then a whisper touched his ear. He spun, flashlight jerking wildly. No one was there. His breath quickened. He turned back to the symbols. This time, the carvings glowed red. He stumbled back, hitting the wall. A low hum filled the air. The basement seemed to throb. Shadows stretched unnaturally long. A shape emerged in the corner. Tall, thin, almost human, but not. Its head twisted at an impossible angle. Ethan's blood turned cold. The figure whispered his name. He froze in terror. The door above slammed shut. He realized he was no longer alone. The basement whispers. Ethan's flashlight trembled in his grip. The tall figure in the corner didn't move. Its twisted head remained angled, watching him. "Who's there?" Ethan whispered, his voice shaking. The thing responded with silence. Only the sound of Ethan's own breathing filled the basement. He aimed the flashlight directly at it. The beam flickered weakly against its outline. Its shadow stretched unnaturally across the wall. The carvings around it glowed brighter. Ethan took a step back. The stone under his foot shifted slightly. He stumbled but kept his balance. The figure whispered his name again. This time, louder. Its voice slithered like dry leaves. Ethan's pulse pounded in his ears. He turned toward the staircase. The stairs looked impossibly far away. Darkness pressed in around him. He forced himself to move. One step, then another. The figure glided forward without sound. Its limbs didn't move naturally. They bent like broken branches. Ethan's flashlight dimmed. He smacked it desperately. The light flared once, then died. He was plunged into blackness. Panic swallowed him whole. He scrambled toward the stairs. His hands found the first step. He climbed two at a time. The air grew heavier with each breath. He heard scraping behind him. Something dragged itself upward. The wood groaned under its weight. He didn't dare look back. His heart screamed inside his chest. Finally, his hands found the door. He pushed, but it wouldn't open. His palms slapped desperately against the wood. "Open!" he shouted. The door remained locked. The scraping grew closer. Warm, rotten breath touched his neck. He screamed and threw his shoulder against the door. It flung open suddenly. He stumbled into the hallway. The door slammed shut behind him with a deafening crack. Silence returned. Ethan collapsed to the floor, gasping. His body trembled uncontrollably. He dared not look back. The house seemed alive, listening. He forced himself to crawl toward his bedroom. The floorboards groaned under him. Every shadow looked like a hand reaching. He threw himself onto the bed. Pulling the blanket over his head, he waited. Hours passed like years. The clock finally showed 6:15 a.m. Sunlight spilled weakly through the window. The morning light made the house seem ordinary again. Ethan tried convincing himself it had been a nightmare, but his aching muscles proved otherwise. He remembered the foul odor. He remembered the whispers. He remembered the thing. And he remembered the door shutting on its own. He avoided the wardrobe all day. He drank coffee cup after cup. His nerves twitched with every sound. At noon, he heard knocking. It was at the front door this time. Reluctantly, he answered. A woman stood outside, elderly and frail. Her eyes were sharp despite her wrinkles. "You moved in," she said flatly. Ethan nodded, unsure. She leaned closer. "Did you hear it?" she whispered. Ethan stiffened. "Hear what?" he asked, though he knew. Her expression darkened. "The door, the one that opens at 3 a.m. His blood chilled. She sighed. "I warned the others not to sell this house." Ethan swallowed hard, unable to respond. The woman gripped his arm. "Do not go near it again," she hissed. Her eyes burned with fear. "If it calls you, resist." Then she turned and left without another word. The thing beyond the door. Ethan couldn't shake the old woman's warning. Her words clung to him all day like cobwebs. If it calls you, resist. But resisting felt impossible. The house itself seemed to hum with anticipation. The wardrobe loomed in every corner of his thoughts. His ears rang with faint whispers whenever he closed his eyes. He forced himself to stay busy. He cleaned the kitchen until the counter shined. He mowed the yard until sweat drenched his shirt. Yet no matter what he did, unease lingered. By evening, exhaustion weighed heavy on him. He sat in the living room with the television on. The screen flickered with static. He hadn't even turned it to that channel. A voice crackled through the static. "Ethan." He froze, breath catching in his throat. The voice repeated, softer this time. "Ethan." He slammed the remote, shutting the TV off. The house went silent again. His heartbeat refused to settle. He looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. Hours still remained before 3 a.m., yet the air felt wrong already. He grabbed a chair and pushed it against the wardrobe. Maybe blocking the hidden door would stop it. But even as he moved the chair, it shook slightly. Something was pushing from the other side. He stumbled back, fear rising like a tide. The wardrobe rattled violently. Then, without warning, it stilled. Ethan stood there, paralyzed. His mind screamed to run, but his legs refused. He backed into the hallway. Every step echoed louder than the last. The ceiling lights flickered overhead. A whisper crawled down the walls. "You opened it. Now it wants you." Ethan spun, but no one was there. He rushed to the bedroom, slamming the door shut. He pressed his weight against it, breathing hard. The house groaned around him. His alarm clock ticked louder than ever. He watched the red numbers crawl toward midnight. He promised himself he wouldn't look at the door again. He promised himself he would leave at sunrise. But promises meant nothing to the house. At 2:59 a.m., his eyes snapped open. He hadn't even realized he'd fallen asleep. The room was icy cold. His breath puffed white in the air. His body moved on its own. He sat up, trembling. The whisper grew louder, clearer. "Come back." His feet touched the cold floor. He walked toward the wardrobe against his will. The chair he'd placed there was gone. He hadn't moved it. He didn't even remember hearing it slide. The wardrobe now stood slightly open. The hidden door inside pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. The brass handle gleamed in the dark. Ethan's fingers twitched toward it. "No," he whispered to himself. But his hand reached anyway. The handle burned cold against his skin. Slowly, the door creaked open. The black staircase waited. A draft of rotten air hit him. His stomach churned. Yet he stepped inside. His body no longer felt like his own. The steps groaned beneath him again. The carvings glowed before he even reached the bottom. The basement hummed with dark energy. Shadows writhed along the walls. The tall figure stood waiting, its head tilted, bones cracking as it turned. "Ethan," it whispered in delight. This time, he felt the word inside his skull. He clutched his head, groaning. The symbols flared red like fire. The stone floor trembled under his feet. He fell to his knees. The figure stretched its long arms toward him. "You opened the way," it hissed. Ethan screamed. The basement walls seemed to close in. The glow burned into his eyes. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was the figure kneeling inches from his face. "Now you belong to me." The final hour. Ethan woke lying on the cold stone floor. His body ached as though it had been crushed. The air was damp and foul. He opened his eyes slowly. The basement no longer looked like stone. The walls pulsed like flesh. Veins glowed faintly beneath the surface. A low heartbeat thudded through the air. He realized he wasn't in his basement anymore. He was somewhere else. Somewhere wrong. The tall figure loomed above him, its twisted head bent closer. "Welcome," it rasped. Ethan tried to crawl backward. The floor squelched under his hands like wet skin. Panic shot through his chest. "Let me go," he shouted. The figure's smile stretched impossibly wide. "You opened the door, you chose this." Ethan shook his head violently. He didn't remember choosing. His body had moved without him. "I didn't want this," he cried. The figure's laugh echoed like broken glass. "Want? The door doesn't ask what you want." Shadows coiled tighter around Ethan's legs. They felt solid, like chains. He kicked and struggled, but they held firm. The whispering grew louder. Countless voices filled the air. Ethan realized he wasn't alone. Faces formed in the walls around him, Eyes bulged, mouths opened in silent screams. They watched him with pleading terror. Each face looked human, alive once. His stomach twisted. They were trapped. He was joining them. The figure bent lower, its breath rancid. Every 3 a.m., the door hungers. Ethan felt cold seep into his bones. "Why me?" he whispered. The figure tilted its broken head. "Because you opened it. That is enough." The walls throbbed like they were laughing. The heartbeat quickened. Ethan shut his eyes, desperate. He thought of sunlight. He thought of escape. He thought of the woman's warning. Resist. Her voice echoed in his memory. Resist. He clenched his fists, refusing to give in. The shadows squeezed tighter, but he pushed back. His mind screamed with defiance. "You don't own me!" he shouted. The basement shook violently. The faces in the wall screamed too. Their cries pierced the air like knives. The figure howled, staggering back. Its body flickered like smoke. The carvings on the walls flared brighter. Ethan forced himself to his feet. He felt the chains weaken. He tore free with one final surge. The floor split open beneath him. Fire and shadow gushed upward. He fell backward onto the staircase. The door above glowed faintly. He ran, legs screaming with pain. The stairs shook under him. The figure's howl echoed closer. Shadows snapped at his heels. He threw himself against the door. It wouldn't budge. His fists slammed into it again and again. "Let me out," he screamed. The handle burned his palm. Suddenly, sunlight pierced the crack. The door swung open. Ethan collapsed onto the hallway floor. Morning light filled the house. The wardrobe slammed shut behind him. Silence returned like nothing had happened. Ethan gasped, tears streaming down his face. He had survived the night. The house seemed ordinary again. Yet the clock still glowed faintly. 3:01 a.m. He realized he had barely escaped. Ethan didn't wait another second. He grabbed his keys, his bag, everything he could. He fled the house without looking back. But as he drove away, he knew the truth. The door would wait for the next soul at 3 a.m. And that was the chilling tale of the door that only opens at 3 a.m. Some doors lead to rooms. Others lead to nightmares. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon. Because on this channel, the nightmare never ends. Tell me in the comments, and would you dare to open that door at 3 a.m.? Until next time, sleep well if you can.